President and CEO of the Grand Rapids Chamber. West Michigan wedding, banquet, and event venues are some of the most remarkable places to visit. They bring people to our communities and support hotels, restaurants, and other businesses. Like the Goey Center, many of these facilities are built on investment in historic and sometimes dilapidated or obsolete industrial or office spaces, returning them to vibrant life and activity and benefiting the community around them. There are numerous other examples of this in the Grand Rapids area, and unfortunately, they still remain functionally shuttered by state emergency orders. The 25-person threshold does not change wedding and banquet venues' survivability. They need immediate guidance soon. Many venues have not hosted an event for over 12 months and have already lost reservations into the summer, some of them losing business to our neighboring states. Without the ability to plan around future potential capacity limits for the coming months, they face a dire prospect of surviving in 2021. It is extremely disappointing and frustrating for them to be not given an equal opportunity to safely reopen and share in the benefits of the improved public health metrics, and we are significantly out of line with our other Great Lakes states in this industry. This morning, we are sending a letter with 13 other chambers of commerce and business associations urging the governor and the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services to take immediate action to give wedding and banquet venues an opportunity to safely serve guests and stay in business. I want to thank and introduce our special speakers today, as they will share their stories in struggling to survive over the last year and what they are doing to prepare for the coming months. We'll begin our panel with our host today and CEO of Eastern Floral, Bing Goey, followed by Kim Smith, the president of the catering company, and Jamie Karnas, owner of Special Occasions Michigan, and then finally Doug Small, the president and CEO of Experience Grand Rapids. I'd like to turn the microphone over to Bing Goey, our host.
Thank you, Rick, and thanks to all of you for joining us this morning. My name is Bing Goey, and I'm the CEO of the Eastern Floral and the Goey Center. I'm here representing the many event venues in West Michigan whose businesses have been devastated by the pandemic. This morning, we are specifically asking Governor Whitmer and Director Elizabeth Hertel of the Department of Health and Human Services to permit event venues like ours to operate at least at 50% capacity. This may not allow our industry to be profitable, but it will certainly allow us to bring back our employees and cover most of our fixed expenses. As an industry, we believe that we should not be only viewed as a wedding venue, because we are not. Weddings are defined as a ceremony where two people are united in marriage. We do not do weddings here in our event venues. Yes, our event venues play a major role in the wedding industry that generated $1.4 billion to Michigan's economy based on 2016 statistics. Based on the average cost of a wedding being $24,799, this generated 56,453 weddings and created employment for thousands of Michiganders. We also know that over 75% of the persons employed in the wedding industry are women. Why? Because the wedding industry allows for moms and college students to work with a schedule that meets their availabilities. And we know by statistics that this pandemic has hurt women and minorities the most. And we want to make sure that we are allowed to be able to give those employment opportunities once again in our event venue industry. We have not seen any scientific data which supports the view that event venues like the Goey Center can only safely host 25 people, which for us translates to 6.25% of our capacity. 6.25%. We cannot survive on 6.25% capacity. Look at this room. This room has been laid out for 150 people. We are spaced, socially distanced for 6 feet or more. We know, and all the event venues know how to do their business safely, and we just want to make sure that we are able to do so. We believe that our event venues should be permitted to operate at 50% because we provide the same products and services that other venues provide and are permitted to operate at 50% capacities. Our event venues provide opportunities for Michiganders to be entertained. At the Goey Center, we have hosted children's choir concerts, fashion shows, Dancing with the Stars competition, and others. At the Goey Center, we celebrate lifetime milestones such as 50th wedding anniversaries or 50th birthdays. We have hosted events that compete for prizes such as auctions and art shows. We have hosted events that allowed Michiganders to be better informed by nationally known speakers, such as even our own Governor Whitmer has spoken in this facility. Our Attorney General Dana Nessel, Dr. Frank Wu, a college president and a nationally known author, former president of Amway, Doug DeVos, and also included in that, we have offered them nutritious meals. And all of our event venues can share other stories as well. We asked Governor Whitmer and Director Elizabeth Hertel, and we acknowledge and appreciate their commitment to use science in making decisions that will protect Michiganders from this virus. We believe that the science you use to open other venues and businesses to operate at 50% should also apply to our event venues, who are currently limited to 25 people. We believe that we can operate safely, and all of us have made significant investments in PPE products and adding equipment to our HVAC units and many other ways to ensure the safety of our guests. We ask that you open us up quickly. 2021 for many of us is still salvageable, and we ask that you help support our industry. And we pray that you will do so quickly so that we may salvage some of our May and June and summer business. Thank you. And now Kim will join us at the podium.
Good morning. My name is Kim Smith, and I am the proud owner of the catering company and Above and Beyond Catering in Grand Rapids. Combined, my businesses have been around for 45 years, proudly serving the greater Grand Rapids and Western Michigan area. Prior to closing down for the pandemic in March of 2020, my companies were 48 members strong. Today, both of my companies are skeletons of what they once were, employing only 12 staff, myself included. I've done everything in my power to keep my businesses afloat during the 2020 and 2021 seasons by moving events outdoors, servicing clients as they wished, spending thousands of dollars on new safety equipment, and yes, even waiting tables, packing trucks, counting silverware alongside my team because I didn't have the funds to bring back my entire team member group. This past year was poised to be a record-setting year of sales. Then came March 13th, when we closed our doors with no information on when or if we would reopen. As the weeks and months passed, event venues were not mentioned in the Safe Start program. It was disheartening that there was no communication or transparency in regard to the reopening plan. In 2020, my revenue was down 93.6%. I'm just gonna let that soak in for a moment. 93.6%. The majority of this canceled business was at contracted event venues like this beautiful space we're in today and hundreds around the area. This business is lost and it's not to rebook in 2022 or 2021. But please remember, I'm not in this alone. Others are struggling right alongside, and we simply cannot afford to experience this again. Just last Friday, I wrote $11,000 worth of checks, and I mailed them. But I don't have any business recorded for 2021. This is not a sustainable business model. At this point in 2021, I'm not quite sure what to tell my clients who ask me, Kim, do you think we'll be able to have our event inside this year? I don't have any business until June, as my clients are delaying their celebrations until 2022, or worse yet, they have canceled altogether and have given up hope of having the wedding of their dreams. The heartbreak continues for hundreds of clients and thousands of brides and grooms throughout Michigan, along with all of the displaced event professionals who service them. This is due to lack of communication and transparency from our state leadership. We know that opening this industry does take time. The industry just can't simply open and pick up where we left off at the drop of a hat. With a target date to re-engage safely, we'll be able to put our plans into action for re-entering the service industry. The process of bringing back staff will be a challenge. But if we know when we can re-engage safely, we can follow our plan to rebuild our teams. Recruiting new staff, hiring new staff, and training new staff all takes careful time and planning. With a target date for re-engaging safely, we are confident that we can bring back the event industry with sustainable key team members. We have proven we can provide safe working environments and safe services, as MIOSHA this past year provided clear and safe guidelines of how to reintroduce food service during a pandemic. We're calling for the governor's attention today to listen to thousands and thousands of event professionals in the state of Michigan who eagerly await the opportunity to serve guests. We are the forgotten industry of the pandemic, and we are eager to return to our craft. Governor Whitmer, we implore you to communicate with us and share a timeline to which we can re-engage the event industry safely. Without this timeline, our businesses have no purpose and our dreams are slowly dying. Give us a targeted re-engagement date that we can clearly reopen and communicate with our clientele. Give us a targeted re-engagement date so that we may begin to recruit, hire, and train to rebuild our devastated teams. Give us a target re-engagement date so we may begin to bring happiness, joy, and celebration to the people of Michigan who so desperately need it. Continuing to hold event venues down will only further decimate the industry as a whole. Governor, we need an open date. We need to get back to work. Allow the event industry to open up safely. And Jamie Carnes will be presenting next.
Up a little bit and hope that helps. I'm Jamie Carnes. I'm one of the owners of Special Occasions. We are an event design and rental company in Michigan. We have a few locations throughout the state, primarily focused in Grand Rapids and Grand Blanc, but we service through the entire state of Michigan. And I have a story today that is very similar to the one that you just heard from Kim, and I think that that's because it's the same story that the whole industry is telling right now. Special Occasions is a company that in our strong force pre-COVID days, we had about 28 staff members, and mid-March went to immediately zero, where my business partner and myself were the only two people trying to work with clients, communicate with clients when they were in extreme panic. We were fortunate to be able to bring back on a couple managers as we tried to continue that planning process with clients at the time. But we still are consistently at a staff of only 4 to 5 people right now, trying to function and work with our teams the best that we can. The piece that I think is so integral to this is really ironic, is that the event planning industry, the rentals, the caterers, all of the vendors that are involved, our entire job is based on making things look seamless. Our job is making it look like we've got the plan, we've got it figured out, we know how to advise and help our clients figure out what will work best for them. And so right now, the thing that we're the best at, we can't do, which is help guide them. And that's what I think is so important to take away from today, is that we need this action plan moving forward so that we can continue to have the professional position within our clients and be that for them to help them understand, here is how we make a safe plan for you to host this, even if it's down the road. Because within that planning, like Kim mentioned, we can't do it overnight. We can't all of a sudden have the GOE Center hosting hundreds of people tomorrow. We aren't ready for that. We aren't prepared for that yet. We need to be able to have the time to bring our teams back, to train them appropriately on the new protocols, to help them understand how to make this happen safely and efficiently in a way that works for us as a business, but also works for the events, for the clients, and for the safety of Michiganders right now. So we are looking for that plan in that direction. I think that the crucial piece within this for all of the event professionals, yes, has been that decrease of what we've been able to do. Similar to the stories that you're hearing today, we went from what was supposed to be a record-breaking year for us on the books to spending 3 months without anything happening, and then we've been holding steady between 18 and 20% of what we would typically be doing. In addition to that, the workload that we're taking on has been more than ever before. Typically, when a client comes to work with us, we plan their event one time. In this instance of this year, we've been planning people's events 6, 7 times on repeat with a different scenario, with a different set of guidelines, with a different set of rules, because we just got them. So we've been trying our best to work with them, but that change is so integral to being able to have a track, like we know of what is going to happen, we know what we're planning on for 3 months out, 6 months out, and we understand that things might adjust, things might change, but at least it gives us a framework to work with moving forward. So that is what we are here to be asking for today, is just a safe re-engagement plan that we can communicate clearly, that we can plan our business around, and that we can feel confident in our foundation to rebuild this industry that supports all of those around us. Thank you.
Just to take that mask off is liberating for a few minutes. feels so good. Good morning, everyone. I'm Doug Small with Experience Grand Rapids, and I want to thank you all for being here to listen to what we have to say, which is more than important. It's a lifeline for these folks. Bing, Jamie, Kim, I feel you. I think our community feels you. What we do for a living
is represent and sell fun and happiness, and it's been missing. So we're very, 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 very emphatic that we need to get back to that immediately. Rick, to you and your staff, Andy, Josh, your continued advocacy on behalf of our community, especially our business community, is commended. We're proud to be good partners with you and appreciate your efforts. Folks, it's going to sound like a broken record, but it's time. We've got to get back to getting visitors and guests in these facilities. I think that policies, orders, and processes have been put together sort of backwards. They're put together for the 10% that don't understand the rules and not the 90% that do. The 90% include everybody in this room wearing their masks, staying separated, doing what they need to do to provide a low-risk environment. I can tell you that we're speaking to our venues and large hotels on a daily basis. All of them get it. It's been a year, folks. I think they understand how to provide a low-risk environment for folks to meet. There are major sports teams that practice a lot less and win championships. These folks have been practicing this a year. They've got it down, and they're ready to help. I can walk around Woodland Mall with hundreds of people, nobody bats an eye. I can walk in a big box store with 400 people running into each other with grocery carts, nobody bats an eye. Look at how this place is set up. It's set up safely for folks to have a great time, in some cases a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I also asked the governor to start to listen. Listen to the folks that know how to do business. Listen to the folks that know how to do business safely. These folks are ready and willing to provide a great opportunity for their guests again. We can't go on any longer. It's really disheartening. I will tell you, I'll give you a couple numbers. I don't want to quote a bunch of numbers today, but I will tell you, weekly I get a report from our team on cancellations. Since the pandemic has started, we have canceled 418 pieces of group business. Those 418 pieces of group business do not include every wedding, so you can add that to it, but it does include 220,000 hotel room nights lost in a year. 220,000 hotel room nights lost in a year. That equates to $226 million in direct impact lost to the Grand Rapids area. That's hitting small businesses. It's not just hitting the hotels and restaurants and banquet centers. It goes deeper than that. It's the folks that provide the linens. It's the food organizations like Gordon and Cisco that provide the food. It's disheartening, and it's becoming ridiculous. I'll use the word ridiculous. We all get it. And again, I'm going to repeat as I end this and say 90% of us get it and are practicing it. It's time to set rules and orders for those 90% and not the 10% that quite honestly don't get anything. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank all of you for joining us today and helping us share this message with our leadership. I want to thank the folks that were willing to share their stories with you. As you can tell, there's some passion there because it's their livelihoods. It's what they do for a living. It's the many people that work for them. And as Doug just so eloquently shared, it's a ripple effect in our economy. It's not just the venue, but it's the food service, it's the linen, it's the equipment rentals, you name it. These businesses have also made significant investments in their facilities for air handling and other things to live by the rules. They're ready. They've been ready for a long time. And so now it's the opportunity to give them that chance to show that they're capable of doing it. We would be happy to answer questions either as a group or individually. If you'd like to seek out one of our panelists to ask questions specifically. Any questions for the group? All right, we will let you do some.
Is what you guys are asking for, 50% capacity?
We're asking for some guidance. Give us a target date, give us some direction so that the folks can begin planning, so that they can get open and be ready for particularly this spring season and not lose out another season to our neighboring states or just continued postponement.
What kind of guidance do you want? I mean, and why not a specific threshold in terms of occupancy?
We're asking for some transparency on how are we measuring success so that we know when we achieve that success that we're ready to open. And so right now we don't have a target. And so it's time for us to understand this is where we are. We know where we are with the cases. We know where we are with the vaccinations, hospitalization rates. So let's get a date on the calendar and say by this date we will be able to reopen, start planning, we're good to go.
And who's putting out this letter? You said it's the Grand Rapids Chamber in coalition with other chambers?
Yes, yeah, we have a coalition of 13 chambers of commerce from across the state that have all signed on to a letter because their communities are facing the same thing that we're facing here in our community.
Is the letter available right now?
Yes, we can make that letter available.
It should be in your inbox.
It should be in your inbox already.
And I guess last thing, just talk a little bit about, I mean, we are in the midst of a pandemic. I guess the prospect of having hundreds of more people gathering in a single space, some could construe that as reducing any forward momentum we're making on reducing cases. Talk about how you're balancing that against, I guess, the push to, reopen the economy.
Yeah, as one of our speakers mentioned in our comments, was OSHA has created the guidelines. They've said, here's what you need to do to provide the safe space, socially distancing like we have this set up here today. I know Bing has invested in his HVA handling system and added HEPA filters and things like that create that environment. They've created the rules. Then businesses have made the investment. And now they just need to be given permission to open and to operate within those rules that have been created. Good? All right.
Can I ask you that?
Sure. You want to?
No, I think I can speak from here. I was the one who suggested the 50% capacity. And I think the reason I suggested that is because in the last directive that came from the Department of Health and Human Services, they said that places like bingo halls can have 50% capacity. Bowling alleys can have 50% capacity. And other places can have 50% capacity. And all we're saying is that same science that you have used to say that 50% capacity in those environments are safe, we believe that that should apply to all event venues. We could have the bingo game event here, right? I mean, I could put a bowling alley in here, really, if I wanted to. So there are scientific evidences that this administration used to say at 50% capacities, these organizations, these businesses are safe. And we just want those same scientific studies to be applied to our event venue industry.
What would 50% be for the Goey Center thing?
200.
200 people? So
Yeah.
you feel you could do it safely, 200 people gathering here? That doesn't concern you?
Right now, it's
a
150 just in this room, but when our clients rent the Goey Center, they also have access to the open spaces that are right next door. And with today's technology, we can live stream things in that area as well. We do want to make sure that you are safe for all of our guests.
Good. Again, thank you all for joining us this morning, and I know our panelists will make themselves available for one-on-one interviews if you wish. Thank you.